live here in the future. Let's shift gears now and talk about Micah Parsons. He gave a quick little update on X. Really, really interesting stuff on how he's kind of approaching rehab. And we know this dude is a dog. Like, all the stuff that the Dallas Cowboy fans said, everything the Dallas Cowboy fans said about this guy is not a good locker room guy. He's a bad teammate. He's not a hard worker. He takes plays off. He can't play the run. The back injury, right? Oh, he's got a potentially career-ending back injury. Everything ended up being BS, right? This dude was everything you expected him to be. Unfortunately, he tears the ACL. And when you play the way he plays, and listen, the snap count, when you're playing 85, 90% of the snaps, that type of stuff's going to happen more often, right? You know, that's why Packers, I think, in the past have had this heavy hockey line type rotation when it comes to defensive end, edge defenders, and whatnot. So with that being said, here are the updates. So his most recent tweet was actually, I think it was yesterday, I believe, on January. Actually, no, it was this morning. So he had quote tweeted somebody who said, "What's up, Micah? I don't know if you'll answer this, but I just want to ask, how's the recovery process coming along? And what challenges are you facing as you're going through this recovery process? Wishing you nothing but health the rest of the way." So Micah actually quote tweeted this random tweet and said, "This recovery process is incredibly challenging and painful. Every day I must enter a state of attack mode to endure the excruciating pain. However, I am gradually improving, healing faster than anyone could have anticipated. I feel God's hands all over me through this difficult journey." Absolutely awesome. Listen, let me sum up the tweet. This is hell. This sucks. This is one of the most painful things I've ever had to go through, right? But I'm ahead of schedule, and we're going to continue to attack this thing week in and week out. You guys know he posted a video the other day on IG, and I'm going to play it here. I'll have to mute it, but this is actually him on the bike. And I've seen several tweets going, how the hell is he already doing this on the bike? This is supposed to be something weeks down the road. And you see Micah on the bike trying to strengthen that knee. You see the bandage on the knee from the ACL. Oh, man. You can just see the pain in his freaking eyes right there, right? That's one of the toughest son of a guns in the entire league. And again, the fact that he's already on the bike is so, so impressive, man. It's absolutely awesome to know this guy's going to be a Green Bay Packer for the long haul. ACLs, in my opinion, we used to say, hopefully they'll get back to 100%. Hopefully they'll be the same player. We're seeing more and more often this year and in the last 5 years, really. To me, it started with Adrian Peterson. You guys remember back in the day when Adrian Peterson shredded his knee, came back way ahead of schedule, like, oh, he ain't going to be the same player. And he was just as good as he was before, in my opinion, at least for those next 2 or 3 years. Same thing with Christian Watson. You know, we were talking his hands should be better. He'll have a complete 100% understanding of the offense, probably have more time to study rather than out running routes and things like that. I wouldn't expect his route running to get better, and he's probably going to lose a little bit of speed, but he was a world-class athlete, so Christian Watson's going to be as fast, faster than most people on the field anyway. Well, he came back smarter, like we anticipated. He came back with better hands, like we anticipated, probably working on the jugs a little extra. Now he's an even better route runner. And to me, he looks like he hasn't lost a step at all. That's been the big thing with Christian Watson. Is like, I don't want to say he looks faster. Maybe he is. I don't know. But he damn sure doesn't look slower. So you've got him coming back as a recent example. Rashawn Gary came back, and he has stayed somewhat durable. Now, as you get older in age, obviously his play has declined. Micah's nowhere near the level of player that Rashawn Gary is in terms of, Rashawn Gary's nowhere near the level of player that Micah is, but also he's a little bit longer in the tooth too, obviously. So he's going to start to decline a little bit quicker. I think Micah's going to come back stronger than ever, man. And again, when you look at what he's done throughout his career, and you guys can check this out, this article, if you're having a hard time seeing it here, you can find this over at patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. $3 get you access to everything on the site. It's the best way to support what we do here at PTA. Join the community over there, join the conversation over in the chats and all that good stuff. But his PFF grade this year was a 92.0. So on his career, 89, 91, 92, 90, 92. He matched his career high there with a 92 PFF grade this year. At 6'3", 245 is what they have him listed at. He's a former 12th overall pick, obviously, for the Dallas Cowboys. The fact that they let him go is still mind-boggling to me. Essentially, what they ended up doing was trading him for Quinnen Williams. And if you're going to trade him for someone, Quinnen Williams, to me, makes sense. And what I mean by that is they went out and obviously traded, first-round picks for Quinnen Williams. So essentially, you're swapping Micah for Quinnen. They're both tier 1 positions of importance. I can understand saying, okay, let's go get Quinnen if Micah's not going to work out here. But Jerry Jones really screwed the pooch with Micah letting him go. Man, you've seen what has happened to that defense. Now, here's the stat I want to hit. And somebody had commented in the chat earlier. I think it was Nick. Yeah, Nick, what's up, buddy? He says, Clayton, Parsons has 25 more pressures than anyone else on the team, despite being out since the Broncos game. How can they generate more pressure in the playoffs? Because that's a rough stat, LOL. It is a rough stat, right? But it's not just about the Packers. Look at this stat, guys. You want to know how good – first of all, we can't expect other players to do anything near what Micah does because they're not that level of a player. You got to go back to pre-Micah. How did we generate pressure pre-Micah? It was with coffee house looks, AA gap mugs, right? Simulated pressure, meaning we're going to show a all-out blitz, but we're actually only going to bring 4 and drop people into coverage and make quarterbacks read the coverage out. Like the last game there against the Minnesota Vikings, we seen a 99 drop play, right? Where we actually dropped Baron Sorrell into coverage, and he was playing like a 5-tech or something. He wasn't even like a wide 9 dropping out. So you're going to get back to more of that in order to generate pressure to what you're doing with those coffee house, those AA gap mug looks, and even maybe bringing a nickel up on the line or playing the nickel off and sugaring the Sam back or the Mike backer on a blitz, right? Sugaring him and having the nickel off, and then drop the Mike out and bring the nickel on a fire, right? But you're still just bringing 4, you're leaving 7 into coverage. Everybody gets to their spots. Typically, with those fire zones, almost always there's no match principles involved, so it is just a country spot drop approach, right? A very, very simple defense. You're going to have to get back to that. But the point is, if you look at what Micah's done here, quarterback pressures on the year, Aiden Hutchinson led the league with 89. Second was Will Anderson. Third was Micah Parsons with 83. Okay? Now, why am I pointing that out? Look at how many games that Aiden Hutchinson played. Aiden Hutchinson played in 17 games. Will Anderson, 17 games. Micah Parsons, only 14 games. Okay? So when you look at the pass rush snaps too, with the 83 quarterback pressures that Micah had, he actually did that on 170 fewer pass rush attempts than Aiden Hutchinson. Think about that. It took Aiden Hutchinson 571 pass rush attempts to get 89 pressures. It only took Micah 401 pass rush attempts for 83 pressures. Will Anderson got to 85 pressures on 436 snaps or pass rushes. So Micah's beating him in quarterback pressure percentage as well. Like when you look at the pressure rate over to the far right over here, Micah, in this list right here of the top 10 pass rushers in terms of quarterback pressures, Micah led the league with 20.7%. You guys know the sack leader, Myles Garrett. Well, how does he stack up against Myles Garrett, Clayton? Myles Garrett's got 23 sacks. Yes, he does. And that is an unbelievable number, the new single-season record, right? But look, Myles Garrett played 70 more snaps than Micah Parsons, and look at the quarterback pressure rate. Micah Parsons, 20.7%, Myles Garrett, 16.3%. That's a wild stat. So, Nick, to get back to your question there, you're not going to be able to generate pressure like you did with Micah. Now, you're asking, how do you generate more pressure? Because that's a rough stat. I agree. You got to give more coffee house looks, and you got to do more fire zone, not blitzing, but fire zone. I'll call it a fire zone blitz. That's the easiest way to describe it. A fire zone blitz is when you're showing pressure and then you drop those guys out and you're bringing other people on the look. Right now, a blitz is technically 5 pass rushers or more. We were doing fire zone blitzes or simulated pressure with only a 4-man rush. It might be the left defensive end dropping into coverage with the nickel firing. It might be the right defensive end dropping into coverage with the will firing, right? And what you're doing is you're forcing the quarterback to post-snap read. I think that's the answer. Now, you're not going to play that 100% of the time, but that's what we did last year, and we had a solid defense, a top 10 defense, right? You're going to have to get back to that in the playoffs. And no better time to do it than with Caleb this week. The problem with this is you've got to make sure somebody's on a touch spot or a contain. You've got to make sure that you keep him in the well. Make him throw from within the pocket as you compress it. So I understand the concern, but at the same time, I want to be realistic here in saying you're not going to be able to generate pressure the way you did with Micah, because what Micah's done, nobody's done it across the league in terms of quarterback pressure percentage. It's just an unbelievable stat. And then, of course, Micah threw this up. It's been pinned for quite some time now. I love it. Just a daily reminder for him, right? He just put September with the salute emoji. And, of course, it shows the line with the scars on the nose and the lips, the scar across the eye, just a beaten up and battered line. My man's going to be out there September 1. There's no doubt in my mind Micah Parsons will be out there and ready to roll on September the 1st. I'm excited to see it too. So that's just a little update on Micah Parsons and everything that's going on there from his social media account. If you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments. How do you feel about Micah? You think he'll be back in September? You think he'll be closer to October? What do you think about his rehab process up to this point? And make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you don't miss anything here at PTA when we go live.